हरे कृष्ण. ఉంది కర్తను. యా ప్రభు మెయిన్ వాల్యూమ్ కొంచెం పెంచుతారా? మెయిన్ రైట్ సైడ్ కార్నర్. Hare Krishna. So we'll chant the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. 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 Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas Govinda, Jaya Srinivas. Jaya Prahlad Narsimha, Jaya Prahlad Narsimha, Jaya Prahlad Narsimha, Jaya Prahlad Narsimha. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Shri Srinivas Govinda ki, Shri Prahlad Narsimhadev ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming and joining us. It's a long weekend. Still you have taken out the time to come and participate. So before we start, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we'll do something little different because few days ago, last Tuesday, was Gita Jayanthi. So in celebrating Gita Jayanthi, so what we wanted to do today is take a step back and reflect on the Bhagavad Gita as a whole, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and what is the significance of Bhagavad Gita, how is it relevant, and how is it presented, and how can we practically take advantage of Bhagavad Gita, right? So thinking out loud. So the question that we want to address today is, what is Bhagavad Gita, right? So, and what is the significance of Bhagavad Gita, and is it even relevant in this day and age? If this was something that was spoken 5,000 years ago, is it still relevant? If so, why? Because we see this books, editions, first edition, second edition, right? Something becomes old. When the new edition comes, the previous edition loses its value, right? It will be put for sale. They just want to sell out the stock. So in that way, a book, even few years old, seems to be losing its significance. Then what is this Bhagavad Gita? Is it still significant? Is it still relevant? Something that was spoken 5,000 years ago, at least, right? And we can answer all these questions if we actually understand what Bhagavad Gita is all about, right? So, in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada actually answers this question very nicely. So, I'll read a few paragraphs. The total introduction is like around 32 pages, but I'll just read like maybe around 1 page over here. So, Prabhupada in the introduction, he actually writes this paragraph. He starts with this statement. So, Prabhupada says, just what is the Bhagavad Gita? Right? He's asking the exact same question we want to discuss. Prabhupada says, just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna was also in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties because of this material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal. But somehow or other, we are put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist. Out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are few who are actually inquiring about their position, as to what they are, why they are put into this awkward position, and so on. Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering, but rather wants to make a solution to all sufferings, then one is not considered to be a perfect human being. Humanity begins when this sort of inquiry is awakened in one's mind. In the Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called Brahma Jignasa. Every activity of the human being is to be considered a failure unless he inquires about the nature of the Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering, or where they came from, and where they shall go after death, are proper students for understanding the Bhagavad Gita. The sincere student should also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. And Prabhupada says in the next paragraph, Lord Krishna descends specifically to re-establish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. Even then, out of many, many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position, and for him this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Actually, we are all followed by the tiger of nescience, but the Lord is very merciful upon the living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna as his student. So, Prabhupada answered the question over here. So, what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence, is to actually deliver the whole humankind from this. Nescience means ignorance of this material existence. And what is this? Being in the material existence, what is the situation? What is wrong with it? Well, the wrong thing here is that everyone is in difficulty in some or the other way. Everyone is in some or the other way in a difficult situation. And Arjuna was also in an extremely difficult situation. Right? That's when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Arjuna, we all know this was spoken in the battlefield. He was baffled when he had to face his opponents. Who were his opponents? Somebody from a different country, somebody from a different city, somebody from a different area. They were his own family members. He had to fight, his own family members. And not just fight as a Kshatriya, he had to actually, if they're in a battle, if they're in a war, he had to kill them. So not just harm them, hurt them, some harsh words or some, hurting, it'll, heal in some time. He has to actually kill them. Killing his own, kinsmen, killing his own grandfather, killing his own teacher. So this was a state of extreme anxiety. Nobody in the world, should ever face this circumstance. But Arjuna actually faced this. And he was in extreme anxiety. It was said, he was sweating. His hand, because of sweating, the Gandiva bow was slipping from his hands. And he was feeling this whole skin was burning, right? Such a difficult, anxious circumstance. So, one might think, that was Arjuna's situation. We are not in such a situation. We have good relationship with our family. I don't have to kill anyone. Is it still really for me? Well, it is for anybody who is in difficulty. It so happened that Arjuna was in that particular difficulty. If you say that only Arjuna faced a difficulty and rest of the time, in the rest of the history, and even now and in future, if nobody is going to face any other kind of difficulty, then yes, we don't need Bhagavad Gita. But actually, Prabhupada is here clarifying that every one of us is facing some or the other difficulty. It was just that Arjuna was facing a very high, anxious situation. So his difficulty level was very high. But all of us are also facing some difficulties. And what are those difficulties? Some people might not even acknowledge that they're facing difficulty. They'll think, you call somebody, you talk to them, how is life, how are things? Yes, life is going good, everything is fine. Right? That's what people say. A lot of people think actually that life is going good, everything is fine. And when we say about difficulty, well, that is way of life. There will be some difficulties. We have to tolerate. We have to move on. That is nature. That is how it is. People actually become complacent about the difficulties even that they are facing. So much so that they will even forget that there could even be a solution to this. So, Bhagavad Gita is providing a solution to the problems and the problems which we might not even be aware of. Right? So, that's why Bhagavad Gita is sometimes called as a manual for human life. And not just a manual, it's a solution manual. And then some people don't even know that there are problems actually. They are completely oblivious to them. So, I would say it is a problem description and solution manual. Krishna actually pulls out the core problems of our existence. And this is not just some, vague words. When we introspect, we will realize that yes, these are the actual problems we are facing. So Krishna summarizes very shortly what are the problems. He says that, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. He says one should observe these 4 difficulties. Janma, birth. Birth is a very painful process. And, everyone who have children, especially the women, they understand what kind of a painful process it is. Even the child, it is said the child gains complete consciousness at 7th month. And 2 months after that, the child is, packed up, right? The delivery doesn't happen unless the 9th month is complete, right? So the child is now undergoing this completely packed up situation. So Prabhupada used to tell, just to understand what the child might be going through. Imagine ourselves, all of us are fully conscious of ourselves. If we were packed up in a bag and kept like that for 2 months, how will we feel? Can we imagine the situation? Not even for few minutes we would allow ourselves to be packed up like that, isn't it? So, but the child goes through that. And that is why the moment the child is born, is he smiling or is he laughing? He's crying. Finally, he got an opportunity to at least to cry out loud, of the difficulty he was facing. Right? So, birth is a very painful experience. But all of us went through that, but we have forgotten it. But the fact that we have forgotten doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So birth is a very painful, Janma, and then the different stages of life. As we grow, disease is one thing, Vyadi, Krishna says, and there is no, Janma is a one-time thing, okay, it happened once, but disease is a seasonal thing, it can happen anytime throughout the year. Right? Most of the working people, we have sick days, n number of sick days we can take. Why is the company giving the sick days? They know that, at some point of the time he will fall sick. And not just once, multiple times. So that's why there are multiple sick days. So disease is a problem and there is no guarantee when it can happen. We always have to be very careful about hygiene, antibacterial soap, always wash hands. Whatever you are touching, be careful. You go to the shopping, you try to pick up the cart, right there they put these wipes, antibacterial wipes. Why? There are so many kind of viruses going on, flu, this flu, that flu, so many names. So disease is something that is constantly plaguing us. And then there is the jara, that is the old age. Now, old age is something when we are young we don't realize, but we just have to observe. We have to observe some old people and the situation that various people go through during the old age. Everything becomes weak. every individual sense, our senses of sense of vision, our sense of our whole body actually becomes weak. Something that used to be so easy to go and quickly grab a glass of water will become so difficult. You'll have to wake up slowly. You can't run, you can't walk swiftly. You have to use a walking stick. Your vision might not be clear. Your senses are all there are different kind of diseases. So old age is actually, it is said, is a very painful circumstance. I know these elderly people. I was in Detroit earlier. So this devotee was telling me he's now I think around 70 years. So he used to tell all his friends, right? Everyone is retired by that time, and whoever is there, they're all in a very special kind of a fear and anxiety, because all they keep hearing about is, this friend is admitted in hospital, that friend is going through this surgery, this so and so friend is now passed away. So they go, they attend his funeral, and they come back. Just think about it, right? When we are in one particular age group, all our friend circle, let's say, we're all in our 30s, 40s, we have children going to school. All we hear about when we talk to them is about, oh yeah, my child is in this grade, this school, this grade. Oh, I'm working this company, and I bought a house here. These are the only things we hear and talk, right? Everything seems very nice and interesting. Think about, fast forward at least 30 or 40 years from now, you're in 60s and 70s. And then, when you're in that late, 60s, 70s, you start hearing all these things. Just like the only thing you keep hearing now from all your friends is, this school, this city, this job, that job. Then you will be hearing only about this hospital, this disease, that hospital. So you don't know, oh my God, which disease will attack me, which hospital I might have to go. And then this person passed away, that person passed away. So he was telling me that they're living in some kind of a constant fear and anxiety, that I don't know when my turn will come next. Because that's what they're all talking and hearing about. So old age is not a fun time to go through. We just have to introspect a little bit and spend some time with a really old person, and they will describe us, what all they go through. And then the ultimate, unfortunate incident is death, mrityu. Such a dreadful word, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to, it is so much so even, others will caution, why are you so pessimistic? Why do you talk about death at home and all, parents, everyone, they say, no, this is inauspicious. Why do you talk about death? Why is it inauspicious? It's very uncomfortable, very disturbing, something that we completely don't want. Nobody wants to think that, they will die. But the fact is, we might die any moment. But nobody wants to think about that. Oh, if it happens, it happens. Like the cat, right? When something, is coming to attack, it's very fearful, it just closes its eyes. It thinks that, the fear is gone away. But by the closing eyes, it does not take the problem away. So Krishna says, these are the problems, these are the difficulties. Now, who will say that, these are not really difficulties? I don't want a solution from these difficulties. Nobody. So that is why Bhagavad Gita has a solution for these problems. It has a solution for these problems. And then one could say, well, these are all, they happen at different times. Birth happens, at one time. Death happens at a different time. Old age may be the last 15, 20 years. Disease now and then. But otherwise, I think other time we are okay. And one might think. So Krishna again points out that no. He says there are three kinds of miseries: Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika. There are difficulties caused by one's own mind and body. So we might be all healthy, we might be young, no old age, no disease, no nothing, no problem. But still mind is disturbed. You just analyze from morning to evening our own selves, how much the mind keeps disturbing us. Oh, what should I do today? What should I do tomorrow? How do I handle this? How do I handle that? This job, this school, this exercise, this activity, that thing, this investment, that investment, right? Constantly the mind is troubling us. The news is coming, something, oh, Trump has passed some other law. Oh, it might make some other thing difficult for me. So this is all just Adhyatmika, just one kind of problem. And if you just think this itself can take up our whole life, right? We are all social beings living in families and circumstances and neighborhoods. Satisfying if we are happy, but if your family member is not satisfied, you are also not satisfied, right? If your child is not satisfied, your wife is not satisfied, your husband is not satisfied. If your parents, your in-laws, so many complications, right? So this itself, one's own mind and body, it keeps us in so much difficult situation. So much so that when you get some time off, without everything, just you're on your own, you feel, oh, this is so peaceful. But only matter of time, again, you will get into interactions. And then Adi Bhautik, misery is caused by other living beings. And then Adi Daivik, misery is caused by the nature. Suddenly there is news of tsunami, there is news of forest fire, there is news of earthquake. You just have to spend some time and if you give your ear and your head will be filled with all kinds of natural disturbances that can happen. So these are the things, even though birth, death, old age, disease are at a very different stages, these are the things, these are constantly plaguing us. Every moment of our life, from morning to evening, we are actually battling all these challenges. Battling the challenges caused by our own mind and body, caused by other living beings, and caused by the nature. And we are constantly doing these adjustments. And Prabhupada says, what is going on here is because of our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. So that is the problem. Our material existence is the root cause. Why are we facing so many problems? Because our very existence, we are actually Atma. The Atma, the soul, is within this body. And where is this body? This body is in this material world. So that is why the Atma is forced to experience all the problems of this material world. Everything is temporary here. And there is something called a spiritual world, which is not temporary. It is said Sat Chit Ananda. Here everything is opposite. We actually belong to the Sat Chit Ananda place, which is called as Vaikunta, where everything is eternal, everything is full of knowledge, and everything is full of bliss. But we are in an exactly opposite place. Asat, everything is temporary, right? Everything we buy, the home, the car, the phone, everything temporary. One day it runs out. Then Achit, full of ignorance. We don't know what is going on. We don't know what will happen next. We don't know what happened in the past. We don't know how our own body is working. We are eating, somehow food is digesting, we are getting some energy. And suddenly you go to the doctor, he will do some x-ray, he will show something, oh, you have this problem. We don't even know what is going on, right? Achit, no knowledge. And Nirananda, there is no bliss. As we just discussed, we are constantly struggling for existence, right? The struggle for existence, the phrase was coined. So in the same way, we are constantly struggling different kinds of miseries. And that is the root cause of the problem. And this problem is what Bhagavad Gita tackles. The Supreme Lord actually enters the picture to solve this problem for us. Now back to the question, is it still significant? Is it still relevant? It is significant and relevant because these problems did not change 5,000 years ago or millions of years ago, or in future also none of them is changing. Last 2,000 years modern civilization is trying to make a lot of advancement to solve these problems, right? To stop death, but they have not been able to stop. To stop disease, they're inventing so many vaccines, so many medicines, and so many new diseases are coming. And they're actually becoming more stronger than the previous ones, that none of the existing medicines will actually work on them. They're mutating themselves and they're becoming immune to all these things. They're saying now this antibacterial we use everywhere, right? Antibacterial from soap to dishwashing to everything, clothes. They're saying we are using it so much that the existing bacteria are now becoming very powerful to all these antibacterial mechanisms that we have. That now there will be a time where none of the antibacterial will actually work. So they're scratching their heads to figure out what do we invent next to make sure we can keep ourselves away from these kind of problems. So it actually becomes more and more relevant. So it is very significant and very relevant. And that is why Lord Krishna comes to help us out in this situation. And how does the Lord do this? What is it in Bhagavad Gita that all these problems are being solved? This seems like fantasy. Really? All problems solved just by one Bhagavad Gita? Well, that is the power of Lord. He can provide something which can solve all problems. So the Lord actually does two things in Bhagavad Gita. He gives us knowledge. First, He gives us knowledge so that we can actually understand our situation. And then He gives practical instructions. He gives us guidance on how to actually apply this knowledge and how to get benefited from this knowledge. Now when we say this knowledge, what is the knowledge that the Lord is talking about? So Prabhupada in the introduction, he summarizes that there are 5 basic truths. The fundamental, the foundational truths that we all should understand. Krishna mentions those in the Bhagavad Gita. So the first thing is Jiva. Jiva means the living being. All of us, we are all called as Jiva Tattva. The living beings, individual Atma. All of us, we are individual Atma, we are in a particular body. And we are facing different circumstances based on our, karma, our activities. So Jiva, Krishna actually clarifies in the 2nd chapter, the first principle he tries to clarify is that we are not this body. We are something different from this body. That we are the soul, the Atma within. Krishna says, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara prapti. Dhirastatra na muhyati. He says, just like, the soul is actually changing its dress. Like from youth, from young boy to youth to old age, and at time of death, it actually changes to another body. So this is the first thing Lord is revealing. We have to understand that we are not this body. The body is just an external covering. It's always changing. And then where is this body coming from? Where is this Atma coming from? If I am not this body, we know the source of the body. We know the origin of body. Even chemically you can analyze. And we know that, it is born from the mother's womb. And then it is growing and it's all happening. But that if I am not the body, if I am the soul, where did the soul come from? This jiva. So Krishna explains another nice verse. He says, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. He says, Mamai Vamsha. So now Krishna is saying, what is this jiva? Mamai Vamsha. My Amsha. He says, Krishna is saying, this jiva is nothing but my Amsha. And then Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. It is actually eternal. It is not temporary. Everything is temporary. Sanatana means eternal. So that is why our dharma is called Sanatan Dharma. Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. And then Krishna says that Manas Shastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. So he's saying Mana, including the mind, Shastani, 6 senses, Prakritistani, in this material world, Karshati, is struggling very hard. So Krishna is revealing that information, that we are actually eternal beings, but we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but we are struggling in this material existence. So these are just few verses, right? Bhagavad Gita is total 700 verses, but just at a very high level. So he's talking about Jiva, and then he's also talking about Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. So if we are all Jiva, and these are all material bodies, and this is all some creation, an intelligent creation going on around us. Who is the creator? Who created it? And if I am part of the Supreme, who is the Supreme? So Krishna actually reveals who is the Supreme also, and it is none other than He Himself. So Krishna actually mentions very nicely that Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. I am the enjoyer of this whole existence. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all the lokas. And Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam. I am actually the well-wisher of everybody. So Krishna actually reveals even the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? He even gives even fine detail about how He has created. He says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mattas Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. He says, I am the source of everything. Everything is emanated from me. And everything is pervaded by me, by my energy. And by knowing this, one can actually make advancement. So this knowledge, the Lord is revealing knowledge about ourselves. This knowledge we are not getting from any department, right? All the people we meet, everyone we know, they are either from, the mathematical background or biological background or commerce background. But nobody knows who is God, how did we come into existence, who are we, what happens at the end of life. But this knowledge, the Lord is revealing. And then, so that's the second aspect, Jiva and Ishvara. And the third thing is Prakriti, this material nature. What is this material nature all about? Krishna says, Bhumi apo analo vayu kam mano buddhirevacha. Then Ahankara itiyamme binname Prakriti astada. He's saying all the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle elements, the mind, intelligence and ego. All 5 and 3 together, 8 elements. These are all my Bhinname Prakriti Ashtada. These 8 are my separated energies. So Krishna is also giving information about this complete material energy. What is this all about? And then he also talks about karma. How the interactions of jiva in the material nature in time, in kala, leads to karma. So what is karma? What is vikarma? What is akarma? And what is bondage? Krishna explains all these things. So he is literally giving us the foundational information and understanding of our own existence in this material world, and how we are actually being practically implicated, and how are we being affected by all this circumstance around us. So he gives this complete knowledge, these 5 aspects. So the total material existence, we can understand what is going on. And so basically the jiva, the ishvara, the prakriti, the karma and the time, all these things. Now once all this is explained, Krishna also explains something else, because this is all happening in the material sphere, right? So he explains about the spiritual world also. So there is a completely separate world which is called the Vaikuntha Dhama. And Krishna gives a nice definition of it. He says, Na tad bhashate suryo na sasanko na pavakaha yad gatva na anivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. So Krishna gives a glimpse, an understanding of what the spiritual world is. He says, Natad Bhashato Suryo. There is no need of sun. Very interesting, right? Here, if there is no sun, what it is? It is night, it is dark, nothing is even visible, we can't even see our own selves. We need electricity and things like that. So he says, okay, if there is no sun, maybe there is something else. So he says, no, na shashanko, there is no moon also. Oh, no sunlight, no moonlight, now how can I see? Oh, maybe, electricity, right? If you have electricity. Then Krishna says, no, na pavakaha. That means no fire, no electricity also. There is no need of all these things. That means it is a self-illuminated place. It is a completely different place. Completely opposite to the place we are living in. And he says, Yad gatva na nivartante, tad damam paramam mama. By going once there, nobody comes back. That is the place I am living in. So Krishna now reveals us about this place. And this place is called Sanatana Dhamma. That is the eternal place, eternal world. The current place we are living is Ashashvatam. Krishna says, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. It is temporary. Everything is temporary. This world, as we know, even the scientists are saying, there's a big bang explosion, and then it will be all the place, everything will come together. And even the sun, it will become, it's a star, it's going through different phases. It will become very hot at one point of time, everything will burn down and all that. Actually, in the Vedic scriptures also it is said, this whole material world has a duration of how long it will be. It is said the time of Pralaya, the sun will become 12 times hotter than what it is. Just think about it, 12 times. In one few degrees only, if it increases, we have so much difficulty, isn't it? If it goes from 85, 90, 95, 100, 110, 10, 15 degrees, so much. Now 12 times, imagine what does 12 times of your average 70 nice temperature. It is like close to 1000 degrees, right? So it's very high. What will happen at that time? Everything will burn down. And then there will be, when everything burns down, a lot of clouds will get accumulated, and there will be heavy rainfall. So it is said Pralaya, at the end of the Kali Yuga, of all the Kali Yugas, the earth will go through this phase of Pralaya where it will actually be completely devastated. So this place is temporary. That is what? Ashashvatam. But then Krishna is saying there is another world, the Sanatana Dhamma, which is eternal, which is always going to be there. And he says, that is my place, that is where I reside. Tad Dhamma Paramam Mama. He says, my house, my residence is different than here. And then he also gives an ultimate solution. So it is very clear now, we are in a temporary place, and there is a permanent place, and that is the place of the Lord. And that is called the Sanatana Dhamma or the Vaikuntha Dhamma. And we have to go there. And that information Lord gives. And that is what is called Sanatana Dharma. So Krishna says, I am giving this Dharma. Right? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. This dharma has been lost, there is a discrepancy in it. I will come, dharma sansthapanarthaya. So what is this dharma that Lord is coming and establishing? What is it? It is this duty, it is this knowledge and information through which we can attain the Sanatana Dhamma. That is called the Sanatana Dharma. And then Krishna also gives the solution how to go there. He says, if you come there, you will not come back. But how to go there? Right? So Krishna says, he says, Antakalecha mameva swaran mukta kalevaram. Antakalecha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. Antakale means at the time of death. So now Krishna is revealing how to go back to this spiritual world. At the time of death, if one thinks of me, Antakalecha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram, ya prayati sa madbhavam. He will go where? To madbhavam, my place. He will attain my nature. What is my nature? It's a spiritual nature. They will go to the spiritual world. And this says that yati nasti atra samsayaha. On this there is no doubt. So here is the solution. One has to think of the Lord at the time of death. Right? So one might say, okay, that is good enough, easy. I don't have to read Bhagavad Gita now. Thank you, Prabhu. You revealed everything. At the time of death, I will think of Krishna. But actually, unfortunately, it is not that easy to think of the Lord at the time of death. See, it's said that, as the old age body becomes old and everything, the time of death, everything goes, dwindles. Our memory, our intelligence, our ability and everything. Only that remains is something that we have been attached to all our life. Let's say, somebody was attached to his children. As everything goes down, his mind, body, and everything becomes weak, but one streak of strong strength will be there. That is, they will be only thinking about the child. Let's say they liked one of the child. So actually at the time of death, if you want to remember something, you have to practice all your life. That is why it is said, the whole life is a preparation and death is the examination. So if you want to pass in the examination, just before exam, you can't read the whole, whatever your subject, right? You have to prepare for a few days. So that is why Though it sounds very easy, oh yeah, just at the time of death I will think of Krishna. Actually, it is not that easy, right? So that is why the whole life we have to practice. And how do we practice? How do we do that? Krishna reveals that also. So I will read one small verse and then I will conclude. So in the 11th chapter, 55th verse, it is said that it is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So I will read that verse. It's a very nice verse. I will read a little bit of translation also. So here we are talking about how to think of God at the time of death. So Krishna is giving a process how to do that. He says, Mat karma kran, mat paramo, mat bhaktaha sangha varjitaha, nirvairaha sarva bhuteshu, yasamam eti pandava. So Krishna is saying, my dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. So this is what we should do throughout our life so that we can definitely go to him. So Krishna is saying, Mat karma kran. That means we always have to work for Krishna. So this whole thing is, it is called Krishna consciousness. It's not that we have to stop doing what we are doing and do something new, just like Arjuna. Right? He did not stop the fight. He continued. He did his fight. But he did it by thinking of Krishna. Krishna directly tells Arjuna, very direct instruction. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, he says, Ma manusmara yuddhacha. So all the time you actually think of me and do the war. So that is the art. Just like, art of living. The art of existing is by being Krishna conscious, by keeping Krishna in our mind. And how is it possible? Right? And here is a practical example how it is done. So Prabhupada tells in the purport, anyone who wants to approach the Supreme Personality of all the personalities, anyone who wants to approach the Supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality Krishna must take this formula as is stated by the Supreme himself. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know the real spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality and to teach how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in his spiritual activity, devotional service. As far as work is concerned, one should transfer his energy entirely to Krishna conscious activities. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be done for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and if he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. This is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. This is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna. One should also accept prasadam, food, the remnants of offerings to Krishna. If, however, one is not able to construct a temple for Krishna, one can engage himself in cleansing the temple of Krishna. That is also Krishna karma. One can cultivate a garden. Anyone who has a land, in India at least any poor man has certain amount of land, can utilize that for Krishna by growing flowers to offer him. He can sow tulsi plants because tulsi leaves are very important, and Krishna has recommended this in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna desires that one offer him either a leaf, a flower or a little water, and he is satisfied. Thus, even the poorest man can engage in the service of Krishna. These are some of the examples of how one can engage in working for Krishna. So this is the clue. The secret of attaining success in spirituality is to work for Krishna. At the same time, that doesn't mean we stop what we are doing. We continue what we are doing, but we have to see how we can dovetail, connect our activities to Krishna. A very simple formula is, as Prabhupada is saying, is to offer our results to Krishna. Well, we might need, we might not have enough to actually offer the results. One might say, the Bay Area rents are so high, I barely save anything. So Prabhupada is saying, don't worry. At least you come and cleanse the temple of Krishna. So the thing is, whatever we are earning, we are maintaining ourselves. The result of, our earning and everything is our own existence. We can use our personal existence itself to serve the Lord, right? We can come to the temple, we can serve the mission of the Lord. We can do whatever way. Krishna has given us an opportunity to transform every activity into a spiritual activity. It is called akarma. Otherwise, there is bondage. Krishna says, Yagnartha karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. You do work for me, or else you will get bound to this material world. And what happens if you are bound to the material world? We are forced to take another birth. Once you take another birth, you will forced to take old age, disease, death, and again the cycle will repeat. So Krishna is giving a mechanism. The Prabhupada many times says, Krishna is not behind your money. He doesn't want anything from you. He is only giving you tools so that you can come back to him. And the reason he is saying, all your attachments, rather you actually attach them to me, because by being attached to Krishna, you will go to Krishna. If you are attached to this material world, to name, fame, property, and everything, we will be stuck over here. So Krishna is just giving us some tools, some mechanisms, so that whatever we are doing, we can still connect to him and go back to him. Again, this is the ultimate conclusion. Apart from this, Krishna also, mentions performing direct devotional service also. Right, offering results is an indirect, devotional service. The direct devotional service is actually also recommended towards the end of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, the conclusion, 65th verse, he says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madjaji mam namaskuru. He says, Manmana, always think of me. Madbhakto, become my devotee. Madjaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, pay obeisances to me. And what happens if once you do all this? Mameyushyasi, he says, you will come back to me. Satyam te pratijani priyosime. This is true. This is the ultimate truth. If you worship me, if you, pay obeisances to me, if you chant my name, you will come back to me. And in the final verse, he says so much that, you don't have to be bothered about so many things. Sarvadharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvama sarva papebhyo mokshishyami masucha. He says, don't worry about all other kinds of obligations. You just focus on how you can surrender to me, how you can serve me, how you can be completely connected to me. If you do that, I will take away all your sinful reactions and you will definitely come back to me. So that is, Bhagavad Gita at a very high level. And some information, something, a big picture. We should have the big picture in mind, why we are doing what we are doing. And I hope this is helpful. So I will stop here. I'll request the devotees to hand over the beads. So we can all chant Hare Krishna mantra together. This is something Krishna himself directly recommended. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. He says, think of me, become my devotee. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we should know we are praying to the Lord. Krishna actually, Prabhupada says, the Hare Krishna mantra, their meaning, Hare means addressing the energy of the Lord. Hara is the energy of the Lord. So when we say Hare, we are addressing the energy is Radharani. It's like, oh Radharani. And Krishna, we are addressing Krishna directly. Oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. So the chanting, so some practical guidance for all of us to take advantage of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is this what we just talked about. Please chant regularly, every day, at least one round of Hare Krishna mantra. What happens is, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna enters into our mind-body system. He cleanses our heart and he gives us the knowledge and realization. That is why this process is called self-realization. It's not just self-understanding or self-acceptance. It is self-realization. One has to realize, this from within. Only then one will be able to stick to these principles. So chanting will help. Please chant. And then reading Bhagavad Gita. We all should read Bhagavad Gita also. And this whole month, you may have observed, we've been focusing on distributing Bhagavad Gita, raising funds, to distribute Bhagavad Gita. And today, as Gita Jayanthi celebration, we are distributing Bhagavad Gitas in the temple itself. So we see the table over there, we have Bhagavad Gitas laid out. So anybody who doesn't have, please feel free to take one with you. If you want to gift it to any of your friend or anybody, please feel free to take it. The whole purpose is, this knowledge is to be understood, read and applied daily. So please read Bhagavad Gita every day. I know life keeps us very busy, but at the same time, we can't say that I don't have enough time to read at least one page every day, right? So there are 1,000 pages. If not anything, at least one page you read, within 3 years, you will completely have read Bhagavad Gita. So we can't say that because, it will take as much as maybe one small WhatsApp video, reading one page. So we should put little effort. We should try to understand, right, in detail. And then we will only be the one who will be benefited. So I'll stop here. We'll all chant the Hare Krishna mantra together. So please repeat the Guru Pranam mantra and Panchatattva mantra. After that we'll chant the Hare Krishna mantra. नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद. So we'll all chant together now. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna